In this sewing tutorial, I will show you how to make Barbie clothes, a top and a skirt, using my free printable Barbie clothes patterns. If you are looking for creative things to do while staying at home, you will like my idea of sewing clothes for Barbie. The top has kimono sleeves, a collar, and can be tied at the front or back. The skirt is gathered around the waist. I tried to make the pattern as simple as possible so even beginner sewists can make these cute Barbie clothes without problems. For these Barbie doll clothes, I decided to use spandex fabric. It doesn't fray, which is a very big plus. You don't need to finish raw edges because they don't fray. It's not flimsy and it keeps its shape very well, but at the same time it's stretchy. They use this fabric in making costumes a lot. So I think this fabric is very suitable for making Barbie clothes. It also looks very pretty. Kids like shiny and bright fabrics. But obviously spandex is not the only option here. You can use any medium weight fabric that doesn't fray. I think even quilting cotton will be good for this project. This is for the skirt. Instead of pattern weights, I'm using my stone figurines. This is the back. Two front pieces, left and right, and two collar pieces. I think it's better not to cut on fold in this case. The pattern pieces are very small. Use your favorite fabric marker to draw around all pieces. Try to be precise, as the pieces are small and even a few millimeters off can result in big differences. Also, try to follow grain lines. On the pattern you can see the marked grain line. Place the pattern pieces with the grain line parallel to the fabric selvages. Cut all pieces using good fabric scissors. Or you can cut using Cricut machine. With the cutting machine, the cut will be much more accurate. You can find SVG files for Cricut on my blog. Links under this video. For this project, I am going to use this kind of thread called Illoflex. Of course, it has to be the same color as the fabric. Let me show you also some small gadget I'm using every day. This is for holding the thread ends so they don't unfold, and this small gadget for keeping the bobbin the same color as the thread together. I have a review of this thread on my blog, so you can read it. It is stretchable thread, so it's good for spandex, for stretchy fabric. And the main point is that you can use this thread in the bobbin also. There may be some problems. Not all sewing machines can sew this thread very well, but whatever I have Genome 6600P, and I have no problems with sewing with Illoflex. So pin front and back at shoulder seams with right sides together, matching edges, and stitch. Prepare your sewing machine, change the needle, choose the thread you are going to use. For my project, I used the ballpoint needle specially designed for knit fabric. Seam allowances are 3/16 of an inch or 5 millimeters. also the color pieces together. Now we need to iron the seams. Be careful with the iron settings. For example, for my spandex fabric, I set my iron on wool. The color piece is so small, so I decided to pin it to my ironing board so it doesn't move out of its shape. Use pressing cloth for ironing. I usually use silk organza fabric as my pressing cloth. Press also shoulder seams open. I decided to embellish the Barbie clothes. Embellishments options are practically endless. You can decorate the finished product with rhinestones, beads, fabric flowers, trims, embroidery and other decorative elements. I want to use a golden rickrack ribbon for the sleeves and for the skirt hem. To attach the ribbon, I used fabric glue. I like to use glue that's called the Ultimate. They say it's the only non-toxic water-based super glue. I like it because it dries clear and doesn't leave any marks on any fabric. You can make a stitch after glue dries out, but I decided not to make it because it seems to me this glue is holding the ribbon very well. Now let's sew the collar. We mark the center of collar pieces and the back piece. Start pinning the collar to the back at the center back. Then pin the edges. The collar edges should be pinned 3/16 of an inch or 5 mm from the cut fabric edges. After this, stitch the collar to the top, clip curves and machine stitch neck edge along the seam line over collar seam allowances. Now we need to stitch the side seams. Pin them right sides together, matching the edges, and stitch. They are curved, so make a few little snips in the seam allowances at the curve for the top to fit well. Don't cut the stitches though. Press the seam allowances open. The next step is finishing the hem of the top. Carefully hem the edges. Fold the fabric under 3/16 of an inch or 5 mm and baste it by hand first. After that, press it and stitch close to the edge and press again. Sew a plastic fastener. Maybe it's not absolutely necessary, but I decided to use it. Also, when I put the top on my Barbie, I noticed that the collar doesn't really sit nicely, so I decided to make a few hand stitches to the collar so it stays down. Now let's make the skirt. We have already embellished the skirt with the golden ribbon. Now let's put gathering stitches. Set your sewing machine for a straight stitch with lengths around 3.5-4 mm and turn tension to 0. Sew one stitching line and gather the fabric by pulling the bobbin thread. The width of the gathered skirt is 4 inches. For the waistband, you can use a piece of double folded bias strip. I decided to use double folded elastic strip. The length of the strip is 4 inches. I like to burn the edges of the elastic so they don't fray and I don't need to fold them inside. But you can do it only for the elastic edges, not for other fabric. I used glue to attach the gathered skirt to the elastic waistband. After glue dries out, sew the waistband to the skirt. You can use a straight stitch or a zigzag stitch. Now we need to sew a strip of Velcro for fastening the skirt on the doll. I used a piece of Velcro that has glue for attaching it to the fabric. It's very convenient because it holds the Velcro in place very well. But it's better to sew over it anyway. If you have a Velcro that doesn't have glue on the back, attach it to your skirt with fabric glue before sewing. And the last step is sewing the center back seam of the skirt. Press the seam allowances open after you are done with stitching.